now is a very time to do now is a very good time to do a confessional, right? Okay. So I've just had mother on the phone. See, the material writes itself. I don't go looking for it, it presents itself. So I'm here minding my own business. I've just had mother on the phone, and she always has advice. Always have advice. But as I said, I hadn't been in contact with her up until the point my sister was about to go into hospital, perhaps maybe 2 weeks before. And so every day, constantly in touch with advice. Sometimes I can be patient if I choose to. Sometimes I don't want to be patient. Today, I chose not to be patient. Now, I said to my sister 2 days ago, obviously she's in hospital, and my mother needs to have surgery on the 5th of November. She doesn't have anyone to look after her because, as I've said many times, she chose to live in Kent by process of her actions. The consequences led to her being in Kent by herself with no one to look after her should she need attention. As in the case when she has surgery, she would have needed somebody to look after her. So what will happen instead? The hospital are going to keep her in for a couple of weeks or until such a time as she is recovered enough to go home and look after herself. But again, actions bring consequences. So now my mother, instead of focusing on her surgery, which she needs to have on the 5th, whatever day of the week that is, but it's sometime next week or the week after, she is calling me because my sister's due to come home. I don't know when, but they're releasing her, and she will have carers coming 3 times a day to attend to her. So my mother, as I've said, instead of minding her own business, she calls me to tell me when the carers come, make sure they put the blue plastic things that you wear to cover your shoes in the flat. So instead of minding her business and what goes on in her property, she wants to tell me what needs to happen in my sister's property. Now, here's the God bit. Now, I'm going to introduce my prop, hydrogen peroxide. Now, hydrogen peroxide is good for many things. On the bottle, it says for use as a mild skin disinfectant, mouthwash, or gargle. But it's also good for other things. I won't go into these because I don't know how I ended up using hydrogen peroxide for the various things that I use it for. But as with my quack medicines, they come by process of inspiration. I cannot think at what point I was inspired to use hydrogen peroxide, because it's not something that would float out of your consciousness going by hydrogen peroxide. You would have had to know about it. And I was using this even before, I guess, the internet went large. So the reason I've got this now, when I was delivering cushions the other day, as I was walking past the chemist, the thought occurred to me to get some hydrogen peroxide. I don't know why, but the thought occurred to me. And but I did go into the chemist and ask whether they had some or not, and they didn't. So when I went to the chemist 2 days ago, to get something for my sister, because there are things that she needs. For example, I bought. She asked me to get them for her toe separators, because we're lying in the bed and she's got the surgical stockings or whatever you call them on. They kind of they're uncomfortable around the toe area. So, little things I will go in and pick up for her. So I went to the chemist near the hospital to pick up something, but they wouldn't give it to me because they said, so you have to get it by prescription. So I'm standing in the shop and in the chemist, and I'm looking to see if I can find a substitute on the shelf. And I looked down and I saw hydrogen peroxide, so I bought a bottle and I've been using it. As I said, I'm not going to go into it because inspiration is there and it is for the individual to find their own inspiration. But that's one thing to bring me back now to the point I want to make. So usually, in fact, all the time when mother calls to give instructions. She ends up coming off the phone. Yes, I understand. I see what you mean. Right. So that is how the conversation went this morning. But I was brutal. Now, people will say to me, you shouldn't talk to your mother like that, this, that, the other. I treat everybody the same. To me, people are people. So I deal with individuals how I need to do it, how I need to deal with them, which is why the hospital staff, the doctors, the nurses, whoever, I will speak to them in the way that they deserve to be spoken to in that moment. If the situation demands nice, I will be nice. For example, when I made some ginger and turmeric with a dash of lemon juice for my sister, because that is good for loads of different things, which I won't go into because inspiration is out there. And one of the nurses came in and she saw what I brought for her, and I explained to her what it does. And she said, oh, I'm going to go out and buy those ingredients and I'll try it for what her issue was. So I said, I can make a bottle for you. So when I was making for my sister, I made one bottle for her. No problem, gave it to her. There was another nurse as well. I said this in another video where I bought Dettol for my sister. She wanted Dettol for her bath, or just for personal hygiene. And the nurse saw it and asked where did she get it from, and she said to ask her sister being me. So when I got in there, the nurse asked me, so I said I just got it from the chemist, same chemist where I got the hydrogen peroxide from. So I said I can go and get some for you, because she's on duty, I'm just there, and the chemist is just there. And I will do goodwill for people in that moment, right? And when you do goodwill for people, it makes them feel good. It's, they say you shouldn't blow your own trumpet. Don't let your left hand know what your right hand's doing in Matthew chapter 6. But in some moments, you have to let people feel good, right? Because it's when people get moments of, in the world, there's a lot of bad things that happen, and some people never get to feel good about anything because they just get a daily dose of rubbish. Their life is just rubbish. So wherever I can, if I can help people in that moment, then I do it. On the previous video that I did this morning at 4:30, I mentioned about my friend Margaret, who doesn't like making cushions. Well, actually box cushions to be precise. But I told her that I don't like to say names, but I mentioned Margaret because she knows I do the videos. But the guy, her boss, said that he would get her to do them, and to save her the trouble, we laughed about it. I said, to save you the trouble, that's why I've come to collect the fabric. When I went yesterday, I've come to collect the fabric so that you don't have to do it. You see, so she had a good day because that's 2 cushions that she didn't have to make. So just little things mean a lot. So like I said, so that's me explaining that. So sometimes inspiration encourages, I can't speak for anyone else but me, to do a good deed for someone, because I don't know what's going on in their life, but sometimes that little deed that you do for them can give them the boost that they need. So with my mother, this is what I say, today is a very good day for a confession. I know that with my sister's situation, it is because God needs to play catch up with mother. She's had it a long time coming, and now is our moment to get it, right? And so I said to my sister 2 days ago, I said, if you were healthy and at work, you would have taken 2 weeks off work during term time to go to Kent and look after mother, wouldn't you? And she said yes. So I can see how, like I've said in other videos about Joseph in Egypt, where when the time came for him to be reconciled with his brothers, and they thought he was going to punish them for what they did to him, he said to them, you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. Now, sometimes bad things happen to us. Like, it's not a good thing that my sister's in a hospital. It's not a good thing that my mother needs to have surgery for cancer, right? But God works in whatever ways he can. Now, it's been a long time coming, but my mother's got a lot of things that she needs to, what's the term? As you reap, you sow. So it's time for her to reap the harvest. But she's getting it easy because there's nothing bad going to happen to her, except that she's going to go to hospital, have surgery, need to stay there because there's nobody who will be able to go and attend to her family wise. So that's her. But it is when you're by yourself that you get time to think. So, but she's there, and like I said, she's here, contacting me constantly, telling me what to do and what not to do. Yesterday it was about who's going to do the cooking when my sister, her daughter, comes home. And so I said, obviously the people who come in to help her, they can do that. But because I'm flexible with my work, I can also do that. So I said, I will probably do it. And straight away she jumps in, oh, but she needs to eat healthy food, right? So this is her assuming that I don't know anything about healthy food. As I keep saying, I have no health problems. I'm not the one um, registered to have surgery on the 5th of November. I'm here, I'm healthy. I'm not the one in a hospital and has been there for 7 weeks. I am healthy. So, people, like I said, again, it's people with all manner of issues, problems, who are the first to come and dish out advice. And so I will come to the point eventually. So that was her yesterday with regards to food. So I had to break it down very simply for her and say that because my sister has had nausea for 7 weeks and she's not had any treatment for it, it means that she can only handle very simple foods, and sometimes she can't even handle that. Because when I met a very nice nurse yesterday from our part of the woods in Jamaica, and she, first time I've met her, first time she's met my sister, but she is very aware of what's going on. And she said to me that she helped her to eat her jacket potato because she shakes because of the vertigo. And she said, no sooner she said this to me outside. She we're talking in front of my sister, but then I went to get something from her for my sister, so she was talking to me more confidentially then. So she said that she no sooner had she eaten her jacket potato, and what is more simple than a potato, she brought it right back up. So I have to break things down in bite-sized pieces for mother and for other people with small mentality. And yes, you're going to say, how can you say that? But I'm just speaking the truth as the truth is. People who don't function with inspiration in their life. So I had to break that down very simply for her to explain that the reason why she will eat just cheese and potato with a little bit of raw onion is because that's about as much as she can handle. It. You eat what you can eat. So she kind of understood that, okay, she says. So then she phones this morning because she's OCD, clean freak, this, that, the other. So I had to point out to her and I'd say, you do what you do in your house, but stop instructing her. And then she said, oh, make sure she gets her treatment, make sure she gets to the hospital, make sure this, make sure that. I said, it's none of your business. I said, stop giving her instructions and telling her what to do. You have your own health issues, you deal with that, and let her make the decisions that she needs to make for herself. And I went further to say, I'm not going to tell her anything what to do. If she wants to go to the hospital for further treatment, that's up to her. If she doesn't want to go, that's up to her. But I pointed out this was the most important thing, because there's footage out there. People, the BBC, all networks have done documentaries on how carers treat people. When the relatives' backs are turned, some of them treat the relatives really bad, and they steal from them and all sorts of things like this, right? So now my thing is, like I said, with the two nurses, with my friend Margaret, some people, they have no conscience, but for some people, you do a good deed for them, they will remember it for life. So those two nurses that I did service for, they paid more attention to my sister as a consequence of what I did for them, right? So you know, you can't. She's telling me to tell them to take their shoes off and all of this, and as we know, carers don't get paid a lot and they're on a time schedule. So the time it's going to take them to take their shoes off or whatever they need to do, that's time. I had to break this down for her. That's time that they're not going to be able to spend looking after her daughter. They're coming to do a particular job, and they need to do it as quick as possible and get out to go to the next client. If they need to take their shoes off and adhere to my mother's high OCD standards of cleanliness, at what point are they going to start getting irritated and start? I'm not saying they're going to mistreat my sister when my back's turned, but at what point are they just going to start doing things slapdash because it's that client and we need to take our shoes off and we need to do this and we need to do that, right? So I said to her, if it be the case that they come in with their dirty shoes, I can clean up afterwards. It's simple. How easy is it to clean the floor? It's everywhere throughout the flat. It's wooden floors and tiles in the bathroom. How easy is it to do that? But again, it's this thing with people, small minds exacting standards. And I'm going to stress again, because all of you have mothers and your mothers are precious to you. But like I said, to me, people are just people, right? And I deal with them how I need to. So that's her. But then it ended. I really let her have it. I just said, I said, if it was me personally that you were giving instructions to, I'd hang up. Because even when I was coming out of the chemist the night when I went to get this thing for my sister, but they wouldn't give it to me because it needed to be prescribed, and I bought the hydrogen peroxide. I was going back to the hospital because they'd moved my sister again to a different ward that same day, so I had to go hunting. She's been in the hospital 7 weeks and she's been moved 5 times on 5 different wards. So when I got there, I had to go find her, kind of thing. So I went with the intentions, because we're dealing with different people now, different nurses and medical team who don't know anything that's going on. It's all new to them. So I went to again mention that she's got nausea. Sorry, not nausea, the other one, vertigo. And so my mother was on the phone at this point as I'm walking in the rain going back to the hospital. And she said, "Oh, don't lose your temper with them, this, that, the other." I said, "I don't lose my temper with people. Let me just hang up." Right? So it's not a matter of losing my temper. I don't lose my temper. I have fantastic self-control. If I didn't, I would have punched somebody by now, right? I would have probably been languishing in a prison cell if I was the type to lose my temper. I'm very controlled. The fact that I raise my voice and I'm very firm. I said one of the things that I did as part of my self-development program, which I opted to do, I've spoken about this on here before, right, was to develop not aggressive, sorry, now I'm starting to think like my detractors, hyper assertiveness. I am super assertive. So I'm never in a position where I'm doing something that I don't want to do, or I'm doing the wrong thing because someone's pressured me into doing it. I know how to tell people no and make no stick. My mother's probably in her flat now cursing me because that's what she does. That's how she deals with people. But the only thing is, she can't curse me to my face because she knows that there is nothing that I want from her or need from her. And she is the one who, she needs to be in contact with me, otherwise she won't hear any news about her daughter. So she said to me, every day it's the same thing. When you get to the hospital, put her on the phone so I can say hello to her. And I said, yes, I know the drill. So it's just sort of like when you're dealing with people who don't share the same mentality because there's no God in them, right? And when I say there's no God in them, people would say, oh, but there's God in all of us. I'm saying actively, there's no relationship with God. There's no inspiration flowing, right? So sometimes I've said this before, sometimes I'm on the spot and I'm trying to think of something, what I need to do. I'm trying to figure a solution, and before I've even finished recognizing the issue, that I've got the solution. Sometimes I'm out on the road and it's like, right, I need to do this thing, and this thing. I need to be here, there, and there. And, I can change my plans just like that and end up, doing things different, smarter, more efficiently, right? Because inspiration is constantly flowing. So, like I said, with these people, and not just that, if you're constantly just thinking about yourself, I'm a clean person, and everybody who comes to my house must abide the rules. You've got to think about how other people think, and how it will make them respond. I've said as well that I'm a master mistress manipulator, and people would assume that manipulation mean you're taking advantage of people. No, it is that I get people to behave how they need to behave. Unfortunately, some people are very arrogant, so you can't do anything with them, like in positions of authority. And as regards my mother, with her trust in doctors and medical people, I have to keep reminding her of Harold Shipman, GP, who he took his life in prison. Mass murderer Harold Shipman, who killed many of his patients, and as well this nurse Beverly Allett, who was working on the ward killing people, right? You have to understand that nurses and doctors are human beings. It doesn't matter what profession a person is doing. There's the person doing the job. I've said in my book that we are not our job, we are not our career. That's just what we do. We are who we are. And many times the jobs that people choose to do, like I'm here sewing, and people would think, oh, she just makes cushions, she's a nobody. Well, actually, I'm here. I'm making my cushions, which is what I'm going to do, and make blinds as well over the weekend. I'm doing that, but guess what? I'm here in perfect peace and harmony. See, there's no background noise. There's, apart from perhaps my team Liverpool is playing against Sheffield United at 8 p.m. tonight. I may put the radio on then, but that's as good as it gets. Or if there's anything interesting that I might want to listen to on YouTube, I will have YouTube on in the background. But you're not, I have the kind of day that I want to have. It's just occasional interruptions, like my mother, as I said, contacting me, talking nonsense. And sometimes you have to deal with people on that level. But, you know, she with all of this, yeah, she might be there now cursing me. I'm sure that's what she spends her days doing, because she doesn't get anywhere with me, right? She doesn't get any joy. If it had been my sister, I know the relationship they've got, which everything she's telling her, my sister would respond to it, because she's just not me. She just doesn't have the same level of assertiveness that I do, right? So it is a good thing that I am the go-between, because I've said before that the relationship that my mother and my sister have is not a healthy one, more especially not for my sister, because my mother is a dominating force. So she now has to stay in her corner and attend to herself, and each time she speaks to me, she's a little bit more backwards in coming forward. It's just sometimes she forgets herself, as she has done this morning, and she's come giving, sort of issuing instructions. But the way I spoke to her, it will be a while before she even loses her mind to that extent to come and approach me on that level, telling me what my sister needs to do, what I need to do for my sister, and what whoever comes here needs to do. It is none of her business. That's what I said to her. It's nothing to do with you. Mind your own business. So, like I said, there's always something to learn, and whenever the material presents itself, if I've got time on my hands like I do today, I will take time out and I will make a video. I find I'm posting less and less on Facebook, because writing takes time, and I don't have as much time as but it's not so much that I don't have much time, it's the energy that it requires mentally to get it from your mind to the paper, whereas I can just open my mouth. These videos, I do them in one take, so I can just open my mouth and talk until I'm finished. So that's it really. But as I said, just because it's your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, you might subscribe to the blood is thicker than water principle. I don't. I never have. Right? I subscribe to the right and wrong principle. You're either right or you're wrong, right? But and that's how I do things. And my mother's very wrong. It's not her business to. My sister is of a certain age where she's an adult. She's been an adult for a very, very long time, and it's not her business to be telling her what she needs to do, right? So that's it.